This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
Hello and welcome to I Talk to Ghosts. I'm your host, Jennifer, a professional medium and a teller of ghost stories. Tonight, dear listener, I'm going to do things a little bit different. I guess you can say I'm rearranging the furniture a little bit. Tonight, I'm going to be sharing with you ghost stories and a message from the spirits. But the next time I have an in-studio spirit reading to share with you, I'm going to make that its own separate episode. I'll probably publish it on a Sunday. I'm just going to try this out, see how we all feel about it. Please let me know what you think. Same amount of spooky and spiritual content. I'm just going to share it out a little bit differently. If you end up liking this format or hating it, feel free to let me know. I like to experiment and try things out. So tonight, along with a message from the spirits, I will be sharing with you ghostly tales of haunted museums. I grew up in Chicago and I loved all the museums that were available to me and my family downtown. The Field Museum, the Aquarium, and the Art Institute of Chicago. So if you ever happen to find yourself in the city of Chicago, I highly recommend taking a visit to at least one of these museums. And you may encounter a ghost while you're there. Before I get to the first-hand accounts of stories at other museums around the world, I thought we could talk about some of the ghosts that have been seen at the Field Museum in downtown Chicago. This is their Museum of Science and Industry. I found an amazing article on AmericanGhostWalks.com by Ursula Bielski that she wrote just in January of 2024. On the outside terrace of the museum, which overlooks the Jackson Park Lagoon, you might be fortunate enough to catch a glimpse of the ghost of defense attorney Clarence Darrow, who is said to walk there. And inside the museum, there's actually a great exhibit of the Burlington Railroad's Pioneer Zephyr. I have walked through it myself as a kid, and I'm not sure if you can just look at it now or continue to do like an inside tour. But apparently, after this Zephyr was brought in as a permanent exhibit, visitors have claimed to hear sounds of hushed voices, laughter, and music, unexplainably coming from the steel train. Now, this museum hosts a series of large stairwells. I believe there's 4 of them. In the blue stairwell, one could see an apparition of a young girl who supposedly lost her life several years ago while trying to slide down its railing. As I said before, there are multiple stairwells in this museum, and I can't tell you for sure it was the blue stairwell that gave me the heebie-jeebies because I was so young, but I will tell you that there was a certain stairwell that I just couldn't manage to be in as a child. Let's move on to a more chilling ghost. The Museum of Science and Industry hosts a great walkthrough exhibit called Yesterday's Main Street. It was always one of my favorites as a kid. You can walk down gaslit cobblestone streets and really get immersed and really feel like you're strolling down a 19th century street scene. And according to the staff of the museum, they firmly believe that they see a ghost of none other than serial killer H.H. Holmes. He is a mustached apparition, complete with a bowler hat, and they say he would have walked that very building during the World's Fair of 1893. Then there is the haunting of the U-boat, the U-505. This is one of the most notorious hauntings of the museum. The U-boat 505 was one of the terrifying German submarines or U-boats that ruled the seas during the early years of World War II. The U-505 was captured, towed semi-submerged to Bermuda, and it eventually ended up outside the Field Museum until they made it a more internal exhibit. I remember tales of this U-boat being transported across Lakeshore Drive, so they had to close Lakeshore Drive to move the U-boat to the museum from Lake Michigan. They eventually moved the U-boat inside because of the brutal lakefront weather. Since its arrival at the museum, staff and visitors have been aware of an unseen sailor in the submarine. They believe it's the former commander of the boat who had quite a tragic death on board. One security guard tells of voices being heard every single night she was on duty, and another reported sightings of the apparition of legs, feet, or shoes in the door of the commander's cabin, and the strong feeling of being watched while inside that room. Apparently, female visitors of the U-boat seem to have a more difficult time and more challenging interactions. One woman said that a steel door suddenly slammed closed on her hand, injuring her, of course, and another woman felt a hand come out of nowhere and grab her shoulder. And of course, no one else was in the room. If you enjoy these stories and want to read more like this, you can check out the book Ghosts of Lincoln Park, a Chicago Hauntings Companion by Ursula Bielski. No affiliation with this podcast. I thought I would mention her book since I found her article so intriguing, capturing stories of all these ghosts at the Field Museum. Okay, are you ready for some first-hand accounts of haunted museums? The ghosts are ready for you right now. It was a grey, drizzling afternoon when I found myself wandering around Torquay in England. The old stone facade of the Torquay Museum caught my eye and drew me in. I had read a little bit about it beforehand: archaeological finds, ancient Egyptian artifacts, Victorian relics, and honestly, I hadn't gone there looking for ghosts. The moment I stepped inside, the air felt different. Not cold exactly, but yeah, a little heavy, serious. The entrance desk attendant gave me a friendly smile, and that put me at ease. I wandered from gallery to gallery, Roman coins, stone tools, cabinets of photographs and documents from the area's past. Everything was neatly arranged, orderly, safely predictable. The Egyptian room was the most striking. Inside it stood a glass case containing a mummified remains of a young child, thousands of years old. The placard said the glass was sealed and hadn't been opened in years. Still, I thought I saw faint handprints. And I kid you not, I checked. The handprints were on the inside of the glass, too small for an adult. My skeptic mind immediately dismissed it. They must be smudges from some past cleaning. From there, I found my way to the museum's library. It was a quiet place, lined with towering bookshelves and a few reading tables. The scent of old paper hung in the air, dry and tinged with dust. Wanting to soak in the vibe a little more, I took a seat at one of the tables and began leafing through a local history volume. After a few moments, A dull thunk from the far side of the room broke the silence. I stood and peered around the end of the shelf. A book laid open-faced on the floor. No one was around it. I approached, bent down, picked it up, and slid it back into place, telling myself it must have been resting awkwardly on the edge. Right? All buildings have vibrations that our brains dismiss, and things can shift. However, just as I sat back down, another book tumbled. This time from a completely different shelf, landing with a hard slap against the wooden floor. "All right," I whispered under my breath. I felt silly about it, but I immediately regretted calling attention to myself by speaking. Then it happened again. This time, 2 books, one after another, pushed forward by invisible hands. The silence afterwards was almost deafening. Yeah, it was time to go. I backed towards the library doorway, and I froze. Movement snagged the corner of my eye, just a flicker, at the far end of the shelves. I looked, and there was a girl. She couldn't have been more than 10 or 11 years old. Her dress was pale, with a high collar and long sleeves, her hair styled in ringlets. She was looking at me from between the shelves. Then suddenly, she was gone. I stood there, pulse racing, listening. No footsteps, no closing door, just the faint hum of the building's heating system. When I finally found the courage to move, I walked by the front desk, and I just couldn't bring myself to ask about what I had just experienced. I did go online later to see if there were stories similar to mine. I actually found camera footage of books falling from the shelves. There's other talk of seeing a ghost linked to the mummy's case and fingerprints, but they talk of it being a woman in white, not a young girl. Still, very intriguing. My mind is still spinning. I had gone there looking for history. I had certainly found it. I visited Boston's Athenaeum on 10.5 Beacon Street late one autumn afternoon. I was drawn to its deep historical vibes and the hush of its reading rooms, like the air itself was made of parchment and candlelight. I settled myself at a polished wood table under a stained glass skylight and opened a leather-bound journal from the archives. Besides the quiet turning of pages and the distant footsteps on the marble staircase, the quiet was absolute. Then I saw him. At the far end of the reading room, a figure in black stood facing away from me. He was dressed in early 19th century attire, hat tipped low. He seemed utterly still. I stared at him until I blinked, and then abruptly, he vanished. A rolled-up piece of paper on my table unrolled with a soft whisper, revealing the name of Reverend Harris. I couldn't help but think of the stories of Reverend Harris. I remember Nathan Hawthorne had once described seeing Harris in that very reading room, only later learning that Harris had died earlier that day. I looked around the room. A few other people were looking directly at that corner, but no one reacted. I think we were all a little stunned, or didn't want to be the first to admit they had seen something unexplainable. A drawer in the adjacent card catalog clicked shut, and I jumped. No one was near it. Then I felt a breeze, cool and sudden, brush past my neck, and I was done for the day. I quickly packed my things and headed towards the door. I happened to catch the eye of the librarian on duty, and I slowed my pace and approached her. I spoke quietly, I think I just saw something weird. She nodded. You saw him? She asked me in a whisper. After all, it was a library. He likes that quiet corner. Some visitors say they feel watched or find words on their manuscripts they didn't write. She declined any more details, but did offer that Harris's presence is calming and timeless, and he seems respectful. He's just there. Walking out into the chilly Boston night, I felt the weight of history on my back. The Athenaeum felt more than a haven for literature now. Was it a doorway? I left with the sense that some visitors of the library were content to stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello and welcome back to I Talk to Ghosts. I have a message from the spirits this evening, so thank you for being here with me at my seance table. Tonight as I work, I have with me lithium quartz. This stone is said to reduce stress and emotional tension, so it is great to hold in your palm as you meditate and try to dissolve anxiety or even a panic attack. It's always nice to have a focal point with working with such difficult, strong emotions. It's said to keep nightmares away and facilitate deep, restful sleep. And it's said to invoke harmony, and it balances all the chakras and is said to help heal repressed anger and grief. The stone again is lithium quartz. So now I'm going to quiet my mind, open the space for spirit to come close. Oh my, I have with me tonight someone's feisty grandmother. She, in life, she was a powerhouse of, I'm seeing her horned-rimmed glasses, and they kind of have a bit of a yellow tinge to them. I don't know if that was just due to the age of the glass or if it was intentional in her glasses lenses. And she's showing me her love of baking, of course, but she also has this balance to her. She had strong opinions, but they were good opinions. And what she wants to quickly get to the point tonight, the message is that she is seeing someone in her family. I don't know if this is you or perhaps someone you're related to, but they are, she's being a little scolding here. They're going down the wrong path. She says that they're taking their energy and they're being a little self-destructive with it just due to point of view and negative perspectives on their own life, and that, gosh, she wishes she could be there to be the influence to say, hey, don't always look at the bad. It's not as terrible as you think, but when you go looking for it, that's what you're going to find. There is she sees a lot of self-doubt and self-blame and self-criticism. And she's seeing just destructive habits like not getting enough sleep, not drinking and eating the right things. And those things never contribute to a healthy mood and a healthy mindset. And now she's coming in with that love of, oh my gosh, if you could see how I see you, she just wishes she could turn it around for you. So if this message speaks to you, or you can relate to this motherly, grandmotherly figure and know who this message is for, and if you're comfortable relaying it to that person, just know that it's a message of potential and love and support, and she just wants the best that life can offer you, and that always starts from within. If we don't love ourselves, we're not going to give ourselves the life that we love. Wow, she's really good at the advice. I'm being moved by this. And she just thinks that it's going to be like gentle energy in a hurricane, but hopefully this insight can matter and help influence and shift the way things have been going. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it at that. Hopefully this message connects for someone out there. I know it will. It's coming in so strong. If so, please let me know. Please reach out. You can email me at speaknow@italktoghosts.com. Thank you. And with that, dear listener, we have reached the end of this episode of I Talk to Ghosts. I hope you've enjoyed the message from the spirits this evening, as well as those tales of haunted museums. Have you ever had a paranormal experience at a museum? I would love to hear it, so please reach out. And again, look for a separate episode that showcases my next in-studio spirit reading. To sum up, I'll have Spirit Parlor episodes available on Tuesdays, ghost stories and messages from the spirits on Fridays, and the occasional in-studio spirit reading showcased on Sundays. If you're interested in booking a reading with me, or possibly being selected for a free reading as a guest of the podcast, visit italktoghosts.com. In the meantime, wherever you wander off to, in this world or the next, just remember, come back and visit with me. Have a lovely evening and good night.
Welcome to Brew Crime, a true crime and beer podcast. Join me, Mike,
and me, JT,
as we explore the world of crime, conspiracies, or whatever catches our attention. This is a podcast where we pick a theme, cover a few cases, and pair them with a brew.
Between themes, we do what we call Brew Crime News, a funny look at current news stories, be it crime, animals, sports, or even celebrities.
You can find us on all social media at Brew Crime. Our website is brewcrime.com. And you can find us on any podcast app at Brew Crime Podcast.
Join us as we discuss the horrible crimes that surround us, and maybe, definitely, tip a bottle or two back as you do it. Drink with us weekly.
Fear Daily is a podcast that takes you into the shadows of the past, unearthing the 1990s most terrifying tales of monsters, madness, and life after death. Discovered on a forgotten bulletin board server somewhere in Pennsylvania's Rust Belt, these stories are an archive of humanity's strangest encounters with the unknown, as told by the people who experience them. Written by Brennan Storr, creator of the Ghost Story Guys, and hosted by Brandon Scheck-Snyder of Southern Gothic, Fear Daily is your window into the dark corners of our world. Follow Fear Daily today on your favorite podcatcher to receive new episodes Monday through Friday, each and every week.